Good morning, everybody! How you doing? My name is Lady Witness, and welcome to a game called Harmonia. This is kind of like a story-based game from what I've seen. As you can clearly see, it's like anime-based. I was looking around on Steam and thought it was interesting. And, let's see what we get. Hi! You can see me. Ooh. It began with an unnatural beep. A pale light suffused my vision. I first saw the light a few seconds prior. Or perhaps it was a few hundred years ago. Nothing else had changed much. I wondered when I started seeing the light. I wondered when I would stop seeing the light. Ideas flowed through my vague consciousness. I wondered how many times it had been. I wondered how many more times I would think these thoughts. Sorry if the camera can't pick up everything. Unconsciously, I extended my arm toward the pale light. Whoa! Look at that. Was something ending? Was something beginning? That is a cool art style. I didn't know, of course. Even so, I remained hopeful and continued to extend both arms toward the light. Machinery. Then the air moved. Am I supposed to do something? Oh, click, of course. The pale light which had once surrounded me began to recede. The next thing I saw was a filthy ceiling. Let's just scooch this over here. Both my right and left arms were extended toward the ceiling, but the right was a little different. My right arm was mechanical, and some components were poking out from the wrist. The fingers moved smoothly, but they did not... But as they did, I could hear the gentle reverberation of metal scraping against metal. I began to sit up slowly. Oh, hello. Finally, I realized that the pale light which had consumed my vision came from the softly curved oblong lid which was before me. So what, you're like in cryo-sleep? That's my thought. Apparently, I had been asleep in this capsule-like thing. I guess he was in cryo-sleep. Where was I? Who was I? Why was I here? Asking these questions to myself provided no answers. In an attempt to trace back my memories, all I could recall was that pale light. Hoping to find even the smallest hint about my memories, I climbed down from the capsule and began to wander around the room. Oh, hello again. Even though I knew how to walk, I must not have done it for a long time. My legs were unsteady and shaky. Whoa! Sorry, camera. Why is this so bright? There we go. Oh, there's a lot of those capsule things. A lot of cryo sleep capsules. Were there other people? Taking great care not to fall over, I slowly continued my walk. The air around me was lukewarm, and each breath I took coated my throat with dust. Oh, I hate that feeling. I lived in Arizona. I know that feeling. Outside, light was coming through a hole in the ceiling, and its path revealed the dust in the air. It seemed as though no one had been in this building for quite some time. A thin layer of dust covered the floor. I wondered what went on in this place. A countless number of those oblong capsules dotted the huge room. The majority of them were open, and they were all empty. Some of them were closed, but even they had nothing inside. It seems that I was the only one in the room. No, that wasn't exactly true. There were people leaning against the capsules, lying sprawled on the ground. Oh, and lying sprawled on the ground. Except something was wrong. You couldn't really call them human. It might be more accurate to call them humanoid objects. So, kind of like C-3PO? The mechanical parts of these humanoid objects could be seen peeking out from beneath their skin. For some, everything above the neck was mechanical. The mechanical arms on some were bare. Some of their lower halves were torn, and the mechanical parts visible. So like androids. Then I remembered something about these humanoid objects. Phyroids. Phyroids? I have no idea how to say that. Made for humans to serve as their partners. Okay. They were equipped not only with the 5 senses, but also emotions in order to be as close as possible to real humans. Never a good idea. In a way. Because then they could corrupt and... I don't know. I've seen too many sci-fi movies. I reached out my hand to a motionless phyroid. The bare, skinless arm was frighteningly similar to my own. I understood. This was a factory. I guess it kind of makes sense, but it seems more like cryosleep. Because why would... Maybe it is a factory, I don't know. I was made here. Just before I was completed, this place must have been destroyed for some reason. Before my right hand was covered with artificial skin, staring at my mechanical arm, I reached this plausible conclusion. Realizing what I was, I began to walk towards a wall. There were old automatic doors with a dusty LCD reading "closed" next to them. I touched it with my mechanical hand. Just as my bloodless fingertips sensed something cold and electrical, the display changed to read open, and the doors unsealed. Would I be able to get out this way? I wondered if there was someone remaining in this facility. I wanted to meet them. I wanted to meet a human. I wanted to find my partner. I pushed open the doors leading outside and set out in order to prove my own existence. Okay, so this character is a phyroid that's been awoken in what seems like an apocalyptic world. I don't know. Seems interesting enough. Chapter 1, Encounter. Oop. Whoa, that is, like, desolate. Once the human population hit its peak of 10 billion, a rapid decline began. air pollution, water pollution, contamination, abnormal weather, conflicts. Hey, like our world. The list of causes was endless. During this time, the thyroids, I still look, were developed. I'm just going to call them androids. They were deeply emotional partners for humans. Androids were originally equipped with batteries, but afterwards, an oral energy supply model was developed. Whoops. What did I do? How do I get out of this? What did I do? Oh, there we go. Ha. They could be powered by eating food. Well, that's kind of scary. I can't get over that pH enough to call them androids. Thyroids became even more human-like as a result, eventually substituting for family or lifetime companions, and the demand continued to rise. Even more importantly, there was no such thing as death for thyroids. This is strangely sounding like the robots from, what is that movie? With Will Smith. iRobot. This is strangely sounding a lot like the robots from that movie. Just more, I guess, advanced looking. Therefore, they were also in high demand for harsh work environments such as hospice care and medicine. Okay. They could even be used in places which could be harmful for a human body. Yeah, radioactive places. Where they could malfunction! The thyroids, I don't know, were happy with this brutal work. Of course. After all, thyroids exist to live alongside humans and be needed by humans. What does that mean if humans disappear? As I reclaimed this knowledge from the depths of my memory, I walked across the cracked red earth. Oh, that's not a good sign. Having escaped that sand-covered facility, I was faced with a world that differed immensely from the one I knew. The wind swirled the dust around, interfering with both my sight and breathing. The earth I tread upon contained no trace of moisture, and each step created a small cloud of sand. Oh crap, the earth died. The sky was covered with thick, all-consuming clouds. I could not see a hint of blue. It was so desolate a scene that it could not even be called a wasteland. As far as I could see, there was no hint of life, not even plants grew here. It wasn't just that the facility I was in had been abandoned. Something had happened to this area. I came up with several possibilities as I scanned through my knowledge, but found no answer. The occasional downpour would bring with it a rusty smell. In those cases, I took extreme care to make sure rainwater did not enter the glove covering the exposed machinery of my right hand. I had found a glove in the factory. It's obvious if your hand is covered with a glove. It fit my arm perfectly, and fortunately there was only the slightest bit of space for moisture to make its way inside. What's more, wearing the glove made me look completely human. It probably made you look kind of like Michael Jackson. One glove! I wanted to just be like a human. A sudden thought came to me in that moment. This glove was absolutely essential for that purpose. As I shielded myself from the murky raindrops, I consumed one of the energy oral nutrient blocks that I had taken from the factory. As their only purpose was to efficiently supply energy, they were almost flavorless. Well, that's no fun. Regardless, they were necessary to keep me from necessary for me to keep taking steps forward. This is interesting. Whoa! Look at that detail. Freaking soot coming down from the sky. That is cool. No matter how many steps I took, I did not find the light I was looking for. Judging from the changing brightness of the sky, I walked for 3 days. Wow. Although I had reduced my walking speed to keep energy consumption down, I must have covered a fair distance. I had not encountered a single human along the way, nor did I encounter any towns, grass, or other living things. All that lay in front of my eyes was endless red-brown earth. It was too harsh for an environment to support any form of life. I'm gonna guess everybody on Earth is dead. Which sucks. Was the world completely destroyed? Had humans become completely extinct? Was I the only thing that remained in the world? Seeds of doubt had been planted within me and then finally began to sprout. However, I kept walking to dispel that doubt. I walked and walked and walked. I don't know how far I walked. After all, to stop walking would be to lose my reason for existing. After the third squall, I arrived at a place with enough buildings to call a town. Cool. I was sure I would find a human there. I quickened my steps to begin walking through the town. The town had an old and The town had grown old, and all the buildings were badly weathered. All the metals were rusted, and everything inside had rotted away. It must have been decades. No, it had been left unattended for even longer than that, I thought. I didn't want to think about it, but I couldn't help myself. What if there wasn't a single human here? When my hope began to change into despair, I found myself in front of a store with an enormous showcase. The showcase's glass was broken, and all the goods it had once contained were missing. They had probably been stolen. As I looked over the showcase, I realized something. I could see my reflection in the glass. I looked to be in my mid-teens. I was about 170 centimeters tall. Excluding my gloved right hand, I looked completely human. Although it was hard to call the expression on my face human. Completely transparent and inorganic. In no way could it truly be called an expression. It looked human-like, but it was quite far from human. That is what I saw reflected in the glass. There was no expression, just like a regular old robot. Only something meant to do work, a machine without a soul. But I was a thyroid. Acknowledging my lack of emotions would prove that I was defective. That was unacceptable. Despite being made to be a human's partner, I could never fulfill the role. If that were the case, my existence was without merit. Having been activated, I wanted to be useful for humans. However, I would probably need emotions if I were to do so. If I could learn emotions, if I could do that, I would be able to return to an existence worthy of a thyroid. If I met humans, I would surely learn emotions. There was no doubt about it. So I had to find humans. I had to find someone soon and actually talk with them. I left the town and continued walking. I was driven by an instinct like a sense of duty to meet a human. The degree of brightness in the gray sky quietly began to shift. No matter how far I walked, no matter how far I proceeded, nothing changed. Desolate earth was as far as the eye could see. There was no shred of hope. Despite this, I walked. I walked to rid myself of the worry. I don't know how many days passed. I just kept on walking. There we go. That's a little better. I eventually reached the end of the supply of oral nutrient blocks I had taken from the factory. Despite this, I continued walking. Then I noticed my knees were on the ground. My body would not even accept the simple command to move my legs forward. I looked at my surroundings. Still nothing but unchanged, barren lands. The gray, cloudy sky and the dry, stagnant wind. Have all the humans been wiped out? If so, then my vision gradually dimmed. The world in front of my eyes began to lose its color and slowly went dark. Then I collapsed face down onto the reddish-brown earth. I lost consciousness. The next thing I saw was once again a ceiling. However, this ceiling wasn't cold like the one at the facility I had been activated in. Although it had stains, likely due to its age, there was a kind of softness in the white walls and wooden beams that supported them. Where was I? Why was I here? Turning my head to the side, I saw desks, shelves, and a bed I was lying upon. The bed, which was gently supporting me, was quite soft and had a sweet smell. I knew I had fallen on that devastated earth and lost consciousness. Did that mean someone had carried me to this place? Could it have been that I was carried by? The thought passed in my head. I heard a noise. And that is where we are going to stop. I know. Cliffhanger! This is really interesting so far. Really interesting. So, my guess is, from what I understand from it so far, is that the world ended because it got overpopulated. These android-like things called pheroids were created to try and help the world, but in the end it didn't really work out that great. And I guess they were shut down, and one was left remaining to be finished in the factory where it was then activated somehow. And the world is like apocalyptic. Maybe there's a few survivors since we're now suddenly in this like house. But so far, this is really, really interesting. Can't wait to see what's next. But thank you all so much for watching. If you liked it, high five that like button. Like a pro. And I will see all you guys in the next video. Bye!